The dreaded nuke of Oluns. But don't touch me. Shit. And this red donut. Get used to it. What up, what up? And today we're going to be going over the advanced guide for Oluns. We're going to increase your trash, your efficiency, all the babies, and all the things in between. With that being said, if you guys haven't checked out my base knowledge guide for Oluns, go make sure to do that. That video gives you a good base foundation of what we're about to learn in this one. And as a result, some of the information in this will be different from the normal guide. First, the gear requirements. You want to be at least 301 AP in your dominant hand and 381 DP. Upping the damage and upping the survivability a bit will make it easier to grind Oluns efficiently. Next, we're making a slight tweak to your crystals. There are two main CCs that can happen to you at Oluns, and that's going to be knockdown and stun. Fairly difficult to get 100% resist in both. So if you have to choose, make sure to get double adamantines with double intimidations in order to get that max KD resist. If you have a shy, which is highly recommended at Oluns, literally top tier, almost near necessary class if you ask me, you usually run one adamantine and one giant, and the shy resist will provide the rest. Hella easy, let's go. All of your light stones, artifacts, buffs, and elixirs are the same as the base guide. With that being said, do keep in mind that always being behind the golem means best damage. Be wary of certain AoEs and make sure to frontal guard even if behind. First piece of knowledge we're going to need to know is about HP thresholds. The reason why we're going with this first is to give you a base understanding of why other certain mechanics will be working. We're going to use the mob's name, Oluns Golem, to reference the HP. Around 50% at the beginning of the G is when the golem will actually throw his hand animation down. This will allow you to DPS the arm and get extra loot. At 40% around the end of the N in Oluns, he's when he will summon babies. If you didn't manage to kill the arm, around 20% you will get another shot. But as long as all three of you are focusing the arm on the very first drop, there should be no issues in destroying the arm. That is, of course, we have that recommended minimum AP of at 289 in the base guide. Don't try coming here as a gearlet, you're gonna get smushed. Smushed so bad. This is a good segue that'll lead us on to our first topic of the grind, baby management. Along with that comes some extra babies you probably didn't know about for most of the pulls. I'll be showing those in the background now. I'll be labeling them on screen based on the order of pull for the golems in the rotation. If your pre-pulls are on point and your group is moving smoothly, you can aggro these babies as normal when you do the other ones. So do be careful as you pull them because their leashes are a bit on the end range, so you may have to stop them a little bit beforehand when they're dropping the arm. This is also the key reason why we have arms in certain locations. Now, as I show you the extra mobs in the background, we're going to go over a couple concepts about HP breakpoints. Mainly for the big guy, the babies or whatever. Ideal is to be able to push 30% of the golem's health every animation. For the first animation, usually around the L in golem, and the second animation, usually around the U in Oluns. Of course, you can push a little further in both, but in the very first animation, if you are newer to this, do not push past the G, or roughly 50%. And the reason we do this is to cause the golem to animation cancel. What do I mean by this, you might ask? I'll show you here with an example if we don't do this. Push the golem to 50% normally, he will first drop his arm, and then after you destroy the arm, he will do another animation before he summons babies. This is considered quite inefficient because he's doing an extra animation for no actual reason. Besides to show you failed. You failed, you failed. Even though the animations probably weren't originally intended for this, we don't speak of it. Well, except for me now. Ha! Now look at this example. If we were to go from slightly above 50 and then pushing to below 40, he summons babies first and then drops his arm. This is known as a perfect pull. This will allow you to destroy the arm and skip the extra animation while also being able to kill the little guys. Golem will be an iframe once you destroy the arm, so this is the best time to destroy the babies. A quick tip for you to make baby destruction easier. If you do a perfect pull, the big guy will do a little twitch and then will start to summon babies. Once you see this, all your teammates should immediately go to the designated drop spot for the arm. This will make all the little guys aggro to you at one singular point when the arm is going to drop. This will make it easier to DPS the arm and all of the mobs at the same time. This is hella efficient. Don't forget to do this. Again, do mind the pulls on the extra babies. Sometimes if you're not doing within 2 animations, the babies will de-aggro. Keep a left or right, at least one eye on them, and perhaps give them a little tap to freeze them in position. This should buy you at least one more animation worth of time to get used to this mechanic. Now, what if you fail? Is it recoverable? Absolutely. If you fail to do a perfect pull by pushing from above 50% down to below 40%, there is a way to get around it. The arm will drop first, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But we have other tech to animation cancel. There are 2 methods for forcing babies. The first, if your class has an aggro, you can aggro the big guy when he's dropping the arm. Then once you have destroyed the arm, run outside his aggro range. You'll know this by seeing the big red circle that he usually emits. You get used to the range, it just takes some practice and eventually you know how far to go. If you're questioning it, just keep running. If you run outside his range fast enough, what this will do is it'll cancel the golem's next animation and it'll also summon babies. Yet another little way to save some time. And you may think, hey, why are we trying to save some seconds here, seconds there? But it adds up real quick. You do that a few times an hour, that could be an extra golem. That's a lot more trash. Do keep in mind, in order for this to work, the golem does have to be at 40% before you leave, which is naturally accomplishable by most groups. You probably won't have to think about that one too much, to be honest. And don't worry, in the off chance that you didn't destroy the arm, it still works as long as you're outside his range before he stands up completely. But what if none of our classes have an aggro skill? Who has aggro? Well, there's two ways to actually resolve this. One, if you're a little bit spread apart, whoever that arm lands on is the one who has aggro. In most cases, it'll be whoever touched the golem first, thus whoever did the pre-pull. But let's say you're all standing together, you don't remember who pre-pulled or who may possibly have aggro unintentionally. Well, you can all just run. All of you. Outside of range. It's an amusing thing to see everyone run away from the mob, but you know, it happens. One other thing to keep in mind while doing all these extra babies is you might hit the mob cap. So if you notice you've done all the animations and mechanics correctly, but the arm does not drop, just kill a couple babies. It'll be okay, because believe it or not, the arm actually counts as another mob. Demi-human, go figure. And now for our last topic of baby management, we'll move on to the Oluns Hearts. There are 3 hearts in the mains Oluns rotation and all can be used. Usually your designated pre-puller will be the one who will be doing this. We will be using our horse as a catalyst for spawning. When in range, the hearts will spawn a little guy every 30 seconds. The best timing to get all 3 spawns that you can max from the heart is to do it 2 golems beforehand. I'll show you the hearts here on screen. And as for an example for the first heart, when you're coming back to the first golem in rotation, the pre-puller will want to go and put their horse near the heart. Then they'll make their way back over to the first golem while it is being aggroed and able to be DPS'd. It will use this idea for the other 2 hearts as well, doing it 2 golems beforehand. You'll figure out the timing. I believe in you. Just make sure to put it in these locations so your horse don't get too battered. You guys remember that nuke from the beginning of the video, right? Well, if you're hella geared, we're going to show you how to take advantage of that. Forcing nukes is a beautiful thing and allows Oluns to be a lot smoother. There's 2 main purposes for it. The first, if you are a lower geared group, you can guarantee a longer animation. Nuke is one of the slowest ones, so it allows you to push that HP threshold that much easier. How you force a nuke is simply by standing slightly outside the golem's natural range, between his big ol' red donut and actually losing aggro. You should practice this on any golem by going up to him and just kind of playing with their ranges back and forth and see when you can get him to force a nuke. This is not for the faint of heart though. If you are a lower gear scored group, don't do this on a whim. Once you get the range round, you'll notice he'll do a slight twitch before he animates, and that will be your cue to push in to do DPS. Definitely go off to the side. Don't stand directly in front of him because, hey, that's where the nuke's coming from. You don't want to die, dude. There's also a way to take aggro and change the direction of the nuke. The person who initially pre-pulled or got first aggro on the golem will be able to start the nuke by being in a certain range. Then while the animation is happening, if you have another member of your group who has an aggro skill, they can reaffirm that aggro onto them. Based on their positioning, they can place that nuke wherever they want. This is pretty nice to avoid damage and also get more optimal DPS. The other method is for the hella geared and who want to push Oluns to the max. By forcing a nuke and then having a hell of gear, you can push the threshold of 100 HP all the way down to 40 in one go to force babies. Yeah, that's a huge chunk of health, but hey, you're hella geared, you can do it. This will cut down the time drastically and force the golem to go into certain animations to defeat him quicker. Definitely don't try this method until you at least have quite a few, if not a couple dozen hours under your belt to start experimenting. Another little thing to address with Oluns as you go through the rotation, you'll see certain babies might be missing. The reason why this is simply someone left the grind spot too early while being aggroed to those babies. This can happen simply just from running through the rotation, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, the babies are up in the mountains like halfway to Odalita. It's crazy. There are 2 simple ways to avoid this though. Stop at certain entry points or exit points in the rotation for about 10 to 15 seconds to make sure that the babies are de-aggroed. The other one, and the more simple one that I use, is no matter where you are in the rotation and you've ended your grind, simply switch to Elvia. Switch to the Elvia realm and then go wherever you want, because they won't be aggroed to you at all, because there's no mobs. This will allow us to keep as many babies as possible maintained in Oluns Valley for the next people who decide to grind there. Or if you're returning, you don't want to short yourself, do you? Goddamn. Oh, we almost kept it under 10 minutes. I was trying to keep it under 10 minutes. Nice, concise, precise for you guys for this efficient and advanced guides for Oluns. We learned how to be hella efficient in these, well, a little over 10 minutes. All the efficiencies and things with the extra babies, mechanic canceling, animation cancels for the big guy, all the little nuanceical events that could happen during your grind, along with forcing nukes for different levels of players to be able to make Oluns more efficient. I hope that this video was helpful to all of you, and if it was, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I would hella appreciate that. Best of luck to all of you on your rock smashing grind, and if you're going for that merchant ring, 819-ish, a Lucas, be around the average. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Crimson out.